Pa Patard, the third eye. Pa Mir, the pyramid, which is a nose. Pa Baruf, Ghadub, the barotheric gland. Put Kowun Anuki, all is existence. I am existence. We are existence. Got to say, Rohubat, Moisal, Shlil Wu-Sabat, Musbatum. We, student teachers of the master teacher, is Parnabab Yananan, affectionately known to us as Baba Yanun, avatar, incarnate, another Ariskian, incarnate into the body of His Excellency, Dr. Malachi Zika Yok Okran, 33 degrees over 720 degrees. We send greetings to you all with divine love and unity. I am Happy Ray Atam Hata. We like to say, Warhu, welcome to you all on Clubhouse, Zoom, and not forgetting, last but not least, not forgetting those of you on YouTube, which we are live streaming. I tend to forget about the audience on YouTube, plus those here at the chat. I'd like to say once again, Warhu. Wu-Sabat. Today's class is entitled The Sun Cycle, the Death of Belief is the Birth of Knowing. So before we start, I'd just like to do a little reading from the Maxims of Yanun. You'll see that. Let's read an excerpt from here. It'd be good for everyone to read this about the master. Be reading from I will read from page 2 to page 4. Okay. This ties in nicely to today's class, the sun cycle. So let us begin. It reads, you know what? Let me start from page 1. Page 1 to page 4. Okay. Pa Navor Baba Yananan Pa Tarak Layeh Taklos. The overseer Baba Yanun, the way to salvation. Introduction. Lahe Ankum Aye Morura Khardu. For you all, my beloved children of Wu-Nawab, I, Pa Nadar Amun Nabab Raye Akh Pata, presently known to you as Baba Yananan, appeared to you in Bashar, human flesh, in the year 1963 AD. I have dark, reddish, brown skin color, woolly wabar hair, with eyes like the flames of Narar, fire. I, Baba Yananan, have taught you many things, taken you through many schools, or that which you asked of me. Anything you asked me, I knew the answer, and many things you never asked, I knew you would ask, and gave you the answers. I am sent here to a being who thinks I'm crazy. However, I will do my job. I have said many times, I know you think I'm nuts. However, in time, the whole world will know who I am, the bearer of the right knowledge, also known as Dr. Malachi Z. Kobina York L., born in the government hospital of Takoradi, Ghana, West Africa, of the Akan and Nogolawe tribes, to Mother Mary Abba Okran of Ghana, March 10, 1924 to August 4, 2012 AD, and Father As Said Al-Hadi Abdul Rahman Al-Mahdi. My mother was of the Aboriginal Native American tribes who returned to Africa, and my father was of Nubian Napata tribes of Qadim Mahmat, ancient Egypt. I'm also known as Sayyid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi and Mumkak Hamim Banan'u Aqab, Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle of the United Nawapian Nation of Yamasee Native Americans by bloodline. I was born Tuesday midnight, June 26, 1945 AD, and I am now with you as the Ancient of Days, El Khidr, or Melchizedek, Zedi, or the Huti to Huti, Thoth, an incarnated being in Bashar human flesh again. No human beings really know where or when I was born. You have lived through every religion, which included Abrahamism, or Mosesism, Jesusism, and Mohammedism, even Mahdiism, that are taught you to break the Hajj Shalil Taghul, spell of ignorance. Now we are being taught Pa Madadat at the words, Hakak Ta, Hakak at the actual facts, or what I came to really give, as opposed to what you thought you needed. It is your salvation. Warm up. The saints of Parnabab have been composed of inspirational saints set over the years. This collection is from my teachings collected over the years by my family and students, which contains a message of knowledge for those individual people who are seeking salvation and transformation of old things. There have been many confirmations that make a reality of who I really am. I, Pa Nabab Yanun, also known as Nazar Atumre, affectionately known as Baba, tell you of the many things that would come to pass. Sharing my foresight has given you insight into advancements of technology, like the reality of full life holograms, like what was shown with Tupac Amaru Shakur, performing on stage by way of a life-size hologram in 2012. Also, the 3D printer, which is used to build the Marat pyramids and the ancient temples overnight. This technology is already used on a smaller scale to create machine parts, guns, miniature models, and even to replace organs. They just change the material for them and blood and tissue cells. They are entering into the fourth dimension. They have been trying to increase your vibrational level because Pa Kakas Nadu, the Kokosoids themselves, are unable to reach, having lost their souls. Joshua 5:1. And it came to pass when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel, until we were passed over, that their heart melted, neither was their spirit in them anymore because of the children of Israel. All the Masak music and tones has been changed or placed faster so they can ride you, Nadu, Negroids, into the fifth dimension, which will be holograms with surround sound as well. Thank you for this, fam. Despite, page 3, despite the fact that time has been greatly manipulated, it has not taken away from the reality of the predictions that continue to come to pass after I have spoken them. You see the sawab, truth of it, year after year. I am constantly teaching information outformation and the science of things before it is discovered, like the discovery of the tombs of our Nazaru, overseer like Asar, all revealing that the Mawat, death, is actually a disease that can be cured. And now scientists have discovered that telomeres, which are genes located at the end of your chromosomes, which controls aging, or the knowledge of a genetic kiss, that the placenta in the Raham womb is invaded by 4 generations of Nasabu relatives and all their personal experiences, as does affect the nature of the unborn Kharad child after birth. Undeniable scientific information of which they had no knowledge. Now their scientists are speaking on it. At our annual Nawapa Ball, I enlighten you with information that would prepare you for the upcoming Shamut year, the natural disasters that will hit and where that Maravad, India, Mangal, China, and finally Afaf Rai Ka'a, Africa, would start to become wealthy. USA and Moirap, Europe, will lose wealth and respect. I can go into that later on, fam. I would inform you when Mawat deaths would occur in the members of our congregation, where we had none before that anyone could remember, like the leaves that fall from the loti tree, as mentioned in the Sahuf, pure pages. It began and it would occur in threes. However, the year before my kidnapping, I said nothing at all. Another gave prophecy of the events that would come to pass for that following year. Had I spoke to you that year, I would have told you of my kidnapping. I, Baba Yananan, have and still am affecting your lives every Zamut day for those who are connected to me. Now there's a chant we say, up to pa toruk, laya pa ruk em yanun, up to pa babab layehu. Open the way to the Baba, to the soul of Yanun. Open the way, Babab, to his heart. I, Baba Yananan, am father to many, a spiritual guide to many, a master teacher to others, and a friend to all who allow me into their Abab at hearts and Aqal at minds. I am your Munvar or warner for this Zamut day and Waqut time. I have suffered so much in order to give you the needed cure to Shafui, heal your Ba'at souls and clear your minds. I have said I will go through hell and back to save you and have done so. The key to our salvation is love, and you need to come together. Now that I have come to remove the Mudwahu devils of this Mikab planet, the lock is our hearts, and the key is the doctrine. Thus, love and unity will free me. It is your task, your test. You must use the tools, the doctrine that you have been given. Each one teach one. You have no excuse. And as the prophecy says, all ayan at eyes shall behold him. And no one will be able to say they did not know. Yet, not the time to know. Holy Tablets, chapter 6, tablet 17, the judgment. It's like the Holy Tablets, expired in the year 2000 AD with the Bible and Quran. In this cycle of the hereafter, the first 1,000 years of the hereafter cycle, as we renew our story. That's just the introduction from the maxims of Yanun, and this ties in nicely with the title of class, the sun cycle, the death of belief, and the birth of knowing. We are in the hereafter cycle. I hope everybody is able to absorb all that information. Oh, it's the information. And hey, let's start. So the sun cycle. You know how we like to start this class, ask questions. to you, the listening audience. The sun cycle. When you hear that, what comes to mind?
Sun cycle.
Come to the mic, brother. Come to the mic, please.
Oh,
Yeah, just like to hear, get the feedback from the listening audience. Hang on, someone brought here was to.
Someone's mic is open.
when I hear cycle,
There you go. Oh, we can start again. Anyway, the sun cycle. The question is, when you hear the word sun cycle, what comes to mind? Got one brother in the audience here. Go ahead, Simon.
well, since you said earlier we're in the hereafter cycle, it
That's
seems
right.
like the sun cycle would be related. So maybe that's a cycle of rebirth or new things, something to do with life, perhaps.
You're on the right track. Hereafter. What do you know about the hereafter?
Well, I would think of hereafter as time after your physical body ceases to work properly.
Okay.
From then on.
So prior to the sun cycle, how is your body functioning?
Right now, I mean, we're essentially part of the earth, and so we function with the earth. We need what comes from it, and we we have certain requirements, you know, as sort of biological machines, and we that stops happening when your heart stops beating, your brainwaves stop flowing. You know?
Okay. So because we in Wu-Sabat, we teach that we have you have two sun cycles and two moon cycles. You may be familiar with the term the age of Aquarius. Are you familiar with that term?
Yes, famous
Okay.
book as well.
Yeah. Do you have any? Can you give us any information on? Do you have any information on the age of Aquarius?
I think people generally seem to describe it as some kind of dawning of new light, where there'll be
That's
greater
right.
understanding and
That's
sort of illumination take place.
That's right. When you say understanding, what do you mean by that?
Well,
Greater understanding?
I had a friend who was he preferred the word overstanding.
That's what I like to hear. Yes, sir. He's the right. You're ticking the right box at the moment, bro. Go ahead.
But if I'm going to say more and more, I guess maybe traditional sense, understanding, the idea would be that you have comprehension of what's being discussed in some way.
Okay. Anything else? So, you have comprehension. Does that mean that your consciousness is expanding?
If you mean consciousness
Like
expanding,
as in the age of Aquarius.
oh,
Yeah.
maybe under those presuppositions, me personally, I'm not convinced of the idea of the reality of the age of Aquarius, but I try to understand what people are saying by it, but I don't know if I hold to that paradigm myself.
Gotcha.
So for me, conscious expanding is maybe a different set of inputs.
Okay. Yeah. You're traveling in the right direction. Let me just say, you're traveling in the right direction, and we can expand on it a bit more. Hey, brother did his best, and he's on the right track. Anybody else on Zoom or Clubhouse? When you hear the word sun cycle, anything comes to mind?
Rahubat,
Reboot.
reboot,
Oh,
or reboot,
Rahubat.
Rahubat,
Rahubat. So, Jose?
Rahubat.
Yeah,
Yeah, what came into my mind is that if we talk about the sun, we're talking about the powers. So the cycle that for me, that would be like a reboot to take it back to its original function and to what it's not been responding to the sun.
Okay, you want to elaborate a bit more?
So when we have power and when we have a power, a source, and the source is not actually reaching to it's not actually doing the function, so we have to reboot the power. We have to reboot the power to make sure that we get the right power that we need. So when we say, so I see the sun as a source of power.
Wu-Sabat is not a religion, it predates religion. So we don't really subscribe to like the monotheistic religions. And even when you get to Africa, you know, people might talk about Egypt or Kemet or these various names, but our ancestors, they actually go back to the stars from the Orion and Sirius constellation.
In the Bible, Genesis, Adam and Eve,
Yeah.
what color were they?
He was a Hindu. Adam was from Atum and Lilith. Those were his parents. We've got their pictures in our scrolls as well. So how do we get pictures? As 9 ether beings, we can travel to different times. We can go backwards in time and forward in time. We can go into different dimensions. We can be channeled. I have watched many false teachers pass. I have watched churches who has come not to change the books, but to untangle and straighten and put them in an order that can be read and understood by any and all. No one in the heavens above or below the earth or under earth has the ability to make all of the true untampered scriptures, which are the words of the Most High, so clear. For I do not speak from myself, but the words flow through me from the very lips and hearts of those mentioned in the pamphlets I put forth. Read the scrolls. Don't reject me. Don't deny me. Don't slander me. I am your savior. Come and follow me. Brother at the back, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
You see how it says our savior is here?
Yeah.
Who's our? Is it just black people? Or is
No,
it
not
everyone?
at all. Our, because every race has been sent their own warner. For us, as black people, if you want to use that word, we're not even black, but we know what you mean but when we use that word. So yes, he sent to us, just like every other race was sent their warner, but these beings, they have a message for the entire world because what they teach is for humanity.
That's what Nuwap was about. Sound, right, nothing else. All we wanted the facts. We accepted the faith. We had faith in Allah. We had faith in Christ. We had all the faiths we get. We had bags of faith. We had our foot on the radio. We had our knees and forehead on the ground. I mean, we reached out for God, every which way. As a people of color, we reached for God in everything from, I seen brothers as highly Christians with little ball and knots. We tried everything. Now we're saying we want to ask questions. We want nothing but facts.
In order for the information to turn into knowledge, what has to take place? We talked about reasonability. Without reasonability, you can't transfer or transform the information into knowledge. It is through sound right reasoning how you take information and turn it into knowledge.
And one of the famous things that people who are familiar with him will know, he always said, don't believe me, check it out.
Don't believe me. Check it out.
Says stuff, he can't prove it. Everything I say, I prove. That's what makes me different. They talk about stuff they can't prove.
The man that has made it possible.
We have 12 signs in the Dindira star map as they have on the zodiac. They have 12 signs or 12 houses. And one complete revolution lasts 25,920 years. That means then that for each house, each of the 12 houses, it will take 2,160 years to pass from one house to the next. So 2,160 160 times 12 will give you 25,920 years to complete one revolution or 360 degrees. Correct? Mathematically calculate it. Okay.
Well, I'm just taking notes, so I can't.
I can go.
I
Okay.
can't keep track of
Oh,
that.
okay, right. So now, it's good to have these mathematical figures because we taught that we have 2 sun cycles and 2 moon cycles. Each which consists of 4 6,000 year cycles, which is 24,000 years. Sun, moon, sun, moon, sun, moon. 24,000 years. 4 times 6, 6,000, 24,000 years. Okay, so now we said that it takes 2,160 years to pass from one house of the Dindera or the zodiac, 2,160 years. Also, it also takes, so if you divide 360 by 12, you get 30 degrees, 360 degrees divided by 12, you get 30 degrees. So each house is 30 degrees. Now, it takes 72 years to pass 1 degree. So 72 times 30 will give you your 2,160 years per house. Correct?
Think so.
Plus or minus. Okay, you do your calculations, you see. Okay. So now, with the coming in of the sun cycle, the sun cycle or the coming of the sun cycle relates to a shift in consciousness of the minds of all on the planet, because not only are we affected by the different constellations of the heavenly bodies or the celestial bodies, we're also affected by the other planetary bodies that's also within this solar system as well. Okay, so everything is interlinked, or everything is in alignment with everything. That's how the forces of nature has so constructed the cosmic forces. Now, we said that with the coming of the sun cycle, prior to this sun cycle, we had the moon cycle, or they call it the age of Pisces. And that was an age of belief, where people believed without any facts to corroborate their belief system. So now, we are now entering an era of spiritual awakening and transformation, or a shift in consciousness. Or, put another way, the sun cycle is the resurrection cycle, resurrecting the mentally dead back to being mentally alive. Okay. Any questions thus far before I continue? Oh, Bram's got a question here. Go ahead, Zamal. Go ahead.
When you say resurrection, how would that be defined? I usually understand resurrection like in a sense of like the resurrection of Jesus, where your body is renewed and glorified. Is it a different understanding, like a mental or a spiritual resurrection instead?
You're 100% right. When we say resurrection, we're talking about a mental resurrection, a spiritual resurrection, and a physical resurrection. When we say mental resurrection, we talk about being resurrected from being mentally dead. You see? So, because wherever the mind goes, the body will follow. So a person could be mentally dead, but still walking around in a zombie-like state. That is the state people have been walking into for the last 6,000 years. You know what I mean? In a zombie state. Now, it's good that you mentioned about Jesus being etc., etc. The reason for that is because I was talking to a Christian today, and they stopped me, and I love it when they stop me. And I said to them that what Jesus came to teach, it's about 2,000 years ago, the people of his day and time were not ready for what he came to teach. So he said, it's in John chapter 14, he goes, howbeit, I will send another comforter. Now he says, I have many things to say unto you, but you're not ready for it. Howbeit, I will send another comforter, and he shall be filled with the Holy Spirit, and he shall glorify my name and teach you of all things. That comforter was none other than the Prophet Mustafa Muhammad al-Amin. But when you say that to Christians, they're not going to accept that. So I said to this sister who was talking to me, I said to her, when Jesus, according to the story, when he was about 3 years old, he was shipped to Egypt until he was about 13 years old. He had to go back to Judea for the census taking and for the bar mitzvah, etc., etc. So at 12, 13 years old, they said that he came from Egypt being wax wise, full of wisdom. Now, the question to ask is, what was Jesus taught whilst in Egypt? When he came to teach these people, they weren't ready for what he had to teach. So he was obviously taught the Egyptian mystery systems, the highest of, hear this word, outformation. But they were not ready for that type of information. Just like the master teacher, he came in 1963, 1962, 1963, came giving us right knowledge of Wu-Sabat, or what we call sun cycle information, sun cycle outformation. But he said that while he was teaching people about these sciences, the people around him at the time wanted to know about Abrahamism, Mosesism, Jesusism, and Mohammedism. So he said the thing, I will put these books away until the ripe time, R-I-P-E, comes. So he said the thing, I came giving you what you wanted to be spooked out, so that you will learn to eventually want. So you will learn to eventually you learn to want what I have come to give. So he knew he had 30 years from the year 1970 until the year 2000 AD to give us religion. So he submerged us into religion because our minds was not calibrated. Here's another word I used earlier on. Our mind was not resurrected mentally, physically, spiritually to receive right knowledge, or Wu-Sabat, or Wu-Sabat, or sound right reasoning. Our minds was not ready to receive that. So what the master done, he had to walk us through the schools of isms and schisms, because of the day and time, also that was in, because of the cycle, the moon cycle was still in. The master also knew that religion had a 6,000-year expiration date, and that expiration date was up to the year 2000 AD. After 2000 AD, more correctly 2003 AD, goes into another topic. From 2000 AD, he completed his mission. He goes, right. He goes, I knew you were ready because you asked the ultimate of question, which was, who is God? And when we asked him that question, he knew that we were ready to be taken to the next level of what he has really come to give, which is this sun cycle outformation. And he said a thing, and there's a tape he done called How to Prove the Existence of the Most High. I keep telling people to listen to this tape on YouTube. How to Prove the Existence of the Most High. And if you go into 37 minutes in, he says it really quickly, say about 30 seconds. The next level to divinity is that of a quantum existing being. Now, what that means is that Got it, yeah. You have to go into 37 minutes in. Okay. So now that's what he says. The next level to divinity is that of a quantum existing being. What that means is that there was a point in time whereby you had spirituality, for lack of a better word, and you had science that didn't corroborate. However, with the advent of quantum physics and quantum mechanics, they're now finding that what the ancients knew 36,000 years ago is now being confirmed by the advent of quantum physics. Quantum physics is basically the scientific explanation of spirituality. And that's why in Wu-Sabat, the master says, it is our spiritual science and universal knowledge. So if a person has they have that ascribe or subscribing to spirituality, it must be able to be backed up scientifically. If they cannot present that to you, then I think you should seek tuition elsewhere. But Wu-Sabat can be backed up scientifically. And like I said, with quantum physics, they are explaining the spiritual aspects of everything. Quantum physics basically means studying things below the atom or the subatomic realm, going deeper. Okay. So now, any questions before we continue? As we said last time, I know that sometimes you may say terminologies and words and concepts that are not familiar with the listening audience. However, the reason why we use these words, terminologies, and concepts is so that we could raise ourselves up to that next level so we could absorb more. Okay. That's your reference points, fam. I'm reading from the procession chains 2012 AD. I don't know if I explained that already. It is a lot of information in here. The procession chains 2020, the cycles, another scroll that goes into it. That one there, the cycles. Yeah, the cycles, got that? Yeah, it's got procession chains. We also got the lost records of time. Let me get all the scrolls that I recommend you all to read.
I got a couple.
Okay, lost records of time. Another one there.
Okay.
That goes in depth.
Are we gonna read from this, or are you saying we already did?
No. If you haven't got this scroll, purchase this scroll. Yeah, these are scrolls I recommend people to purchase. Goes in depth. Emotional energy. Another scroll to purchase that goes in depth with this class title, plus more. Another one. Another one to read. Also, that also helps to tie all in. Is this? I want to say more like a papyrus now. Look at it. Tones, frequencies, and vibration. Another one to read. And more as well. But the one, I would say, the granddaddy of them all is this one here. If you haven't got this one, read this one. The Sacred Wisdom of Tahuti. Scroll up. Oh, hang on. I forgot. Because fam, when you start reading the scrolls, I really do recommend if you could get your head around the Sacred Wisdom of Tahuti and related subjects, you will find that what the master is teaching us is quantum mechanics. That's what he's teaching us. Okay. And you find that there's an etheric chord that ties into all of the scrolls. Okay, and when we talk about, you said that the sun cycle represents the resurrection cycle, resurrecting the mentally dead back to being mentally alive. And the death of belief signifies the death of illusion and the birth of knowing that we are the co-creators of our own reality. And when we say co-creators of our own reality, what we are saying is when we have what's referred to as a collective consciousness, or they call it a Christ consciousness, or other words we use such as synchronicity or alignment, collectively, or synergy. These are different words really pertaining to the same thing. When our minds are all aligned together, then we will be able to co-create our own reality with the forces of nature. Because that is how we have been so engineered. So it's not like we are separate. This concept of being a separate individual was something that was taught to us during the moon cycle, or the age of Pisces, or the Piscean era. However, the shift has occurred. That shift is what the master also refers to as the dimensional shift is occurring. As we speak, we are moving into a higher dimensional frequency, a higher width band in this new sun cycle. And the moon cycle information has a more lower and narrower bandwidth, which is a hindrance to our liberation if we do not make the necessary adjustments. Okay? So when we say a wider bandwidth, or when we say higher vibrational frequency, what we mean is that we are expanding our consciousness or awareness or perception. We are expanding our ability to receive more information and making more neural connections by way of synapses, so that we can absorb more light information, and that will transform us. Or we all heard the saying, knowledge is power, but we also continue to say, we add to that, knowledge is in an inert state until it's activated, and that activation will give the knowledge that we absorb the power, and that power will lead to transformation. Okay. With that being said, I just want to say something. Today, when I was out in the shops, out in the streets there in Croydon today, and the Christian stopped me, and she's talking to me, and she mentioned a word. She said about salvation, and so I said, well, what is salvation? And she couldn't really explain the definition of salvation. Then I said, oh, what's liberation? And she said to me, liberation, salvation. She said, she's another word as well. Liberation, salvation. She's another word, and she also said transformation are all connected. I said to her, what you're saying is right, but it's in the wrong context, because she's saying that when you got liberation, salvation, she's now coming out of what she's using that. She goes, and you've got a transformation. That's when Jesus will come to you, etc., etc. And I said, well, you're saying the right things, but in the wrong context. All you need to do is do a 1 degree shift in the right direction, and all that what she's saying will line up. But she couldn't get it. She said, I've got to make a move, etc., etc. So all it takes is that 1 degree shift in the right direction, and the doors will open up. Okay. I don't want to continue on. Any questions thus far? Zoom, Clubhouse? Go ahead.
So, are you saying that this is the kind of affirmation that Jesus learned from Egypt and then tried to teach people in his day, but since they weren't ready, it didn't work out? The affirmation is now taught again by the master teacher and his students who are ready, because The moon cycle is almost at an end, and now we're going to experience a sun cycle. Is that, am I following?
That's right, 100% right, 100% right. Yeah, 100% right. Correct. Yes. So to put another way, Jesus was born out of due time. He was born before his time. They weren't ready for that. So right now, all we need to do is open our minds and we begin to raise up. Now, that is those in, what words I use? Those in power. Now, let me put it this way. The way how this system, this planet has been so structured or constructed, this construct that we are living under, not over, we are under this construct, is archaic, meaning it's out, that's it, outdated. We are being taught moon cycle information to keep you in information, to keep you mentally dead. And this is from kindergarten right up to university. Because that person might have a degree, but be just as dumb before they went in. That is moon cycle information. Keep you in information. They call it quickly information. That's how they drop it. They keep you in a understanding as opposed to overstanding. Understanding, you're standing, looking up. Affirmation is you're standing, looking down. Because you now have an overstanding of what you've been taught. And what you've been taught in this sun cycle is geared or engineered to elevate your mind. This is globally. That's the difference between affirmation and information. The difference between sun cycle knowledge and moon cycle knowledge. There's a difference, you see. Those who do know, but in their secret societies, they know this information because they study the Egyptian mystery systems.
You mean like the Masons? Is that what you're referring to? Or you mean like
Yeah, with the Masons as well.
You said secret societies like what?
Yeah, you've got secret societies like yeah, you've got like the Thule Society. Oh, that's going back in it to hit this time. Knights Templar.
Okay.
I don't know all the names. But in their societies, or you might have other in their societies, they study the Egyptian mystery system. They study the sacred wisdom of Tahuti, but they don't call it the sacred wisdom of Tahuti. They call it the Kabbalion. Have you ever heard that term? The Kabbalion. Well, they call it the Kabbalion. Or they call it the Hermetic principles. I don't know if you heard that. Right, yeah. The Hermetic principles, the Kabbalion stuff, these are all coming from the Egyptian mystery systems. They study that in depth. They go to Egypt, they go in tombs and certain temples, etc., that an average layperson won't go. They got their laboratories, etc. They study, they look at the hieroglyphs, but the one thing they don't have, the master key.
Which is
what the master is teaching us.
Oh,
the master key.
That's what unlocks it.
That's right. Unlocks what though? When the key, what's the key do? Because you said unlock. What does the key do? Unlock what?
Goes into something, unlocks the door, so now you have access into those rooms.
Right, 100%. This lock, because you're ticking the right boxes. This lock that unlocks the door, is it a physical door or is it a mental door?
Well, I think it's an analogy that you're using for like a not a physical door, some other type, like a mental or spiritual.
Right, that's right. You're ticking the right boxes. So now, once you start unlock the doors, what happens? The master teacher calls it a genetic DNA explosion. That's a term we use. An awakening. So now, as you're walking, you're awakening, you're unlocking the doors. The portals are within you. And as you hear this right knowledge, you're using that master key, a door unlocks. You've now shifted a degree. Remember, the door unlocks. You open the door because the key don't open the door. You do it. A key just locks or unlocks the door. So you unlock the door. You open it. You walk through. It is mentally, spiritually, and physically. Because where there is mental transformation, there's also mental transformation results in physical action. Because wherever the mind goes, the body will follow.
When Jesus said in John 10, he said, I am the door, was that correct? But it's just the timing was still wrong, and so the master teacher became the door instead, or?
Yeah, I mean, do you know the quote? Jesus said, I'm the door.
Yeah.
See, go ahead. Roy wants to come up to speak. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to take up.
Doesn't matter, keep going. It's what behavior is about.
I didn't get that.
Good.
Okay. Okay, so John chapter 10, I believe it was. Make sure I got it.
I was just trying to find the quote for him.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, truly, wait, is this, oh, sorry. Truly, I say to you, it's John 10:1. He who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but they will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. This figure of speech Jesus used with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. Jesus said again to them, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. Last verse is this. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly.
Right, yeah. Meaning that, so he was the door, meaning he knew the way. He knew what we call tarak, the way. He knew the way to lead his flock. Okay? Just as today, if the master teacher, we call him Pa-mun-zur-ur, means the warner for this day and time. That's why he says, come and feed my flock. Teach, read, teach, because this is salvation outformation. So, going back, and I said that a woman stopped me out on the street, is that when I said to her, liberation and salvation, liberation is being free from those opposing forces of whatever they may be. That's liberation. Being free from opposing forces. Freeing the people mentally, physically, spiritually from those opposing forces. Salvation is keeping those opposing forces away once a people have been liberated. Okay, so liberation precedes salvation. Okay. I thought we'll quickly read. Got here. The true moon cycle 13 months ago gives us our true solar cycle. Say no to horoscopes, yes to telescopes. God is good for it. Ancient Egyptian truth. Jesus, the J sons, he's us. A representation of the light that we can obtain by going within and following our own soul. He is one example, light of many true lights like you. All right, yeah. Right. Goddess Keturah says, a representation of the light that we can obtain by going within. That light, is actually the black light. The black light, rather than being blinded by the white light of spiritual ignorance that we was taught during the moon cycle. Now we're in the sun cycle. When we say the sun, you think it's that sun out in the sky that blinds. No, The sun we are referencing is that black sun. Because if you did a research, you find that the sun is black. But if you listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson, he says the sun is yellow or white or something like that. The sun is black, it's invisible. But remember we said there are three suns. The first sun is outside, within the solar system. The sun is inside, which is where? Where's the sun? Where's the other sun? We said earlier on. Come on, you know you see this, where the sun? Where's the sun? Where's your own personal sun? What's it called?
Solar plexus.
Exactly. The word solar, but does that pertain to sun? And where's the third sun? Yeah. Okay, so there's three suns, and all three suns meant to line up. Right. So I don't mean what the sister right here, Goddess Keturah and Clubhouse, a representation of the light that we can obtain by going within. Because the journey is inside out and outside in. It's a spiral that we're making. A representation of the light that we can obtain by going within introspection and following our own soul. When you hear the word soul, S-O-U-L, we also hear a word S-O-L, which is the Latin word for sun, okay? He is one example, light of many lights, many true lights like you. It's very good he said that, Samaltat, because the master said many years ago, he said, you are the light and you have the power over all things. The light is the black light and you have the power over all things. The reason why we have the power over all things, the operative word the master used is all. But at that time, we didn't have an understanding what he meant by that. What he meant is that we are part of the all as all. So the same power, let's say that this is our body, and we dip this bottle into the ocean of Pa'ut. What fills this bottle of is Pa'ut? What fills or the ingredients that's in this bottle is the same ingredients that's in that ocean of Pa'ut. So all the power that's in there is in here. We call it 9 ether beings. Or we say 9 to the 9th power of 9. So we say 9 ether is all existing chemicals, gases, formulas, elements of natural nature, of which we are composed of. So what makes us, if you go to a religious person, any different than God? That, and again, the sister said to me, I said, well, according to the Bible, Jesus said, is it not written your Lord? I said, yeah, gods. I said, didn't in Exodus 7:1 that the Lord said, I'll make Moses a god unto Pharaoh? But you didn't create, but we are co-creators. So when they say, you never created yourself, no, I never created myself, but my parents are my creators, personal creators with the help of the forces of nature, making the forces of nature our impersonal creators and our parents our personal creators. That means then that within each and every one of us, feminines and masculines, we have creative abilities and capabilities within us. So when it's any different than Pa'ut, all we need to do is know that mentally, physically, and spiritually, that we can make that alignment with the forces. That's why we need sun cycle outformation and not information. Okay. Any questions thus far, fam?
Jamal? Terry Jamal has his hand up.
Go ahead, Terry Jamal. Mashat to Terry.
Hey, Rahubat, can I be heard?
You can be heard, Jamal. Rahubat.
Rahubat. Yeah, so I was looking at it as the sun being the source of energy. Yeah, so like first I wanted to, maybe you can touch on the relationship between the sun rays and the melanin.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and then the other part is also like maybe just a follow-up on that one. So the sunlight which our bodies absorb, like is it transformed into some sort of a spiritual energy or spiritual light which activates our inner solar plexus, or what's the correlation there?
Right. You said something very, very, you said something very correct. You're very correct. It's our melanin that gives us that intimate connection to the sun, because like we're here in the West, we're not getting sufficient rays of the sun to stimulate our melanin or stimulate the centers of our brain, because that is what ignites not just our brain or the neurons, but also ignites our solar plex. So we do not, and also ignites our, we need the sun for everything about for our being. We need the sun because we have what's referred to as sun heat genes. And our sun heat genes is ignited by way of the sun. The master put it like this: we have what's referred to as a solar plex, and others have what's referred to as a lunar plex. Meaning that, let's say our pilot is at gas mark 9, other races they're of a lower gas mark 8, gas mark 7, gas mark 6, gas mark 5, in some cases no gas mark at all. Gas mark 0. So the connection, you're 100% right, Samuel. There is a correlation, a direct correlation to the sun, our melanin, and our solar plex, and everything that our physical structure is composed of. That's why we are for the people of the sun. Okay. You see something else? There might be another point you wanted to raise.
I just wanted clarity on that one, and thank you, sir. You have done it.
So you're welcome, Samuel. Okay, anyone? We said that. Anybody in the listening audience want to say anything? Not yet. Okay, not yet. Yeah. Anybody else on the clubhouse? Right, I just want to continue reading. We said that in this new sun cycle, that our bandwidth frequency is getting higher and wider in this new sun cycle, and that the moon cycle information has a more lower and narrower bandwidth. This is a hindrance to our liberation if we don't make the necessary adjustments. The question here is higher frequencies or lower frequencies, which is better? The higher frequency, let me before I continue. As a question that we put to the listening audience, higher frequencies or lower frequencies, which is better or conducive? Go ahead. Higher. Can you got that's half a part.
Higher, I think, depending.
Go ahead.
Higher depending on what the purpose is. Like the music, if you want bass, then you need lower frequencies. So it depends kind of what the purpose is. Or there's sometimes very lower frequencies are needed, like when you want to have bass sound, in music, for example, the 808s are real. See.
Yeah. What about in terms of consciousness?
Well, the way people describe it is they talk about higher would be better.
That's right. Because in this context, what you mean with a higher frequency, that's what you mean in terms of consciousness. Okay. If a person has a higher frequency, what does that allow the individual? They are operating on a higher frequency. What does that allow the individual to?
Under what I hear you saying, it would be to receive and perhaps transmit more information.
I'm glad you said receive and transmit. So that individual who's operating on a higher frequency, they are a better transceiver than a person who has a lower frequency. Correct. You're ticking all the right boxes there, bro. Well done. Okay. Higher frequencies allow for faster data transfer and higher capacity, meaning that the people now are able to absorb more information. And as they are absorbing more information, they are transforming. I remember last class, we talked about mental alchemy. And we said that mental alchemy is a process of transfiguration, transmutation, and transformation. And transfiguration, we're talking about having the ability to quickly find that gives you the full definition of that transfiguration and transformation. Don't give you a wrong knowledge. I'll quickly find it here. Right, here we go. We use the word just transformation, transmutation, and transfiguration. Okay, we said here, this is from last class. I just quickly say here that all these classes are constructed in such a way to let you know that each class links into each another class. Each class is interlinked, and we're doing this for a reason. And I couldn't read excerpts from last class, and this is mental alchemy. I said last class was called mental alchemy, reverse engineering our minds. And we said we need to reverse engineer our thoughts, thinking, and mind before we can reverse or correct or restructure our lives. Okay, we need to reverse engineer our thoughts, thinking, and mind before we can reverse or correct or restructure our lives. If we do not, and that science, we call it mental alchemy. If we do not reverse engineer our minds, how can we subsist within this sun cycle? Or how can we make the shift, that dimensional shift? Because people will be vibrating on a higher frequency, on a higher dimension, and be operating differently than somebody who's still in a moon cycle mindset. Those amongst us who have elevated their minds are now able to move into the fourth dimension extended. They're the ones who will have the power, ability, and capability to transform themselves or turn themselves into crafts, go away for a million years, come back and seem like a minute to just another individual. And you have two guys walking side by side. You don't know that your co-worker is a deity in human form, and but hear this though, each one teach one. And the thing is that when we have right knowledge, it is our obligation. We are obligated to teach right knowledge to any and everyone who has a listening ear. It is our obligation to do that. This is the ninth gate of deityship, when we put on the mask of God and realize that we have a responsibility to respond, meaning that we take responsibility for that which is around us. Remember in the Islamic days, they said that Allah created Adam to be, the word they use in Arabic is Khalifa fil Arab, to be a successor on the planet. That is if we're talking about us in the garden now, he's not talking about the Adamites, but as we know now. But what he's saying is that when the garden Negroids were created, we were to be caretakers of this planet and be responsible for what occurs on this planet. When we have the mask of God on, take on that responsibility. Okay, so we need to reverse engineer our thoughts, thinking, and mind before we can reverse or correct or restructure our lives. In order for us to do this, we need to have the know-how or the knowledge. However, it is said that knowledge is power. However, without application, knowledge is just knowledge in a state of inertia. Activation of knowledge received is where the power comes from. And that activation leads to transformation. And that transformation is transforming from mortal into God, possessing a God mind. Transmutation now, that's transformation. Transmutation now is of mind and mental into physicality, achieving miracle-like results to the onlooker. This is what Pa Nababu, the masters, refer to as mental alchemy, mental transmutation. Okay. And transfiguration is having the ability to change your form physically, depending on the environment that you're in or that you may need to go to. The Holy Tablets, chapter 6, tablet 15, the master talks about that, whereby you restructuring may need to take place, or reconfiguration of your blood, what do they call it, the veins, the whole internal body will need to be will need to be reconfigured in order to move in different environments of the planet. Okay, but in order for that to happen, you need the barotheric gland. So it'd be up there, wouldn't it? The barotheric gland be under there. Okay.
What was the last thing you said? You need the what?
The barotheric gland. Oh, you never had that before?
No.
Yeah. The barotheric gland was a gland we had that was in the hippocampus region of the brain. And that gland is what gave us random access to the divine. It's, we have the so-called 5 senses: see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. We also have 4 other senses: mental telepathy, clairvoyance, intuition, and psychometry. There are like 4 higher senses of many other senses. These are just 4 the master mentioned. However, in order for you to transform, you need that gland. You need that gland, and you need that gland to be activated, which is done by higher beings. Okay, they activate that gland. Obviously, what they will do is they cannot give you full activation. It's something that's done intravenously. It does what a person will self-combust because the out formation be too much. Yeah, so it's something that will be done intravenously. So that gland will give you access to move interdimensionally. Okay. The thing about this now, we do it anyway. When do we do it? When we go to sleep. Because when we go to sleep and we're dreaming, we are in other dimensions. We are seeing our relatives who've crossed over. We're no longer subjected to the time frame on this planet. So it's something that we do unconsciously. But what we do is we go to these different gurus, whatever, to learn how to do it consciously, and they won't give you. We go on YouTube how to activate your pineal gland or whatever, but not even realizing that we need to activate the lower chakra gland first, because the energy rises from the bottom upward. See, so we can read that later on. Okay. Any questions?
Rahubat Jamal, you have a hand up. Jose's had his hand up for a while on Zoom.
Go ahead, Jose.
Rahubat Zamal, thanks again.
You're welcome, Zamal.
Zamal, I was listening attentively to the class, and I don't know if you have there the actual fact 17, emotional energy, that connects to when you were speaking about the doors, or Jesus being the door or the key, the master. It took me to this scroll specifically because it mentions something related. I wanted to make a bridge to what you're explaining regarding knowledge and what the actual fact emotional energy also says. So we can go to 71, between 71 to 73.
These are verses.
Yes.
Go ahead, I've got it here.
Okay, I can read it?
Yeah, go ahead, read it, please.
Okay, because afterwards I'll request you also to interpret one of the diagrams, actually 2, but I'll read it. 71. These intelligent nine-ether soul forces, beings, Ethereans, exist on all nine abodes, and the bodies of the persons who function on any given abode are composed of atoms of the respective nutational rate. 72. So they can be saved, redeemed, claimed by one with beings. I repeat, 72. So they can be saved, redeemed, claimed by one with beings in upper and lower worlds or abodes. This being is Panasdir, Amnub, Reke, Pta, for you. So this being that is referred here on this verse 72, who is this being? Who is this being? Is this being he as well another door for consciousness upliftment?
Yeah, good question. This is the master teacher.
Oh, okay. I didn't recognize the name. Okay.
Yeah. Can you start again, Samal? But can you read from 69, from verse 69? Read.
Yes.
Can you read from verse 69?
Okay, 69.
Up to 76. Up to 76, please.
69 up to?
Up to, let's have a look. 76, please. No, yeah. 69 to 76, please. Go ahead.
Correct, okay. 69. However, certain Sakumat powers inherent in your mind can be provide the means hereby the upper forces of Ku of a soul will pull you back above the chanting and prayer and devotion to that which is the right to do.
Please stop there. Stop there a minute. You're reading too fast. Right. So what Baba is saying here is that we have innate powers within inside of us, Sakuma. And we have what we call Pa-Khu, the oversoul. And by chanting and prayer and doing that which is right
to do,
our mind will start to elevate. And these forces will kick in to help in that elevation. Continue. Number 70, please.
70. And may even be seen, felt, experienced.
Stop there. So now, so what's happened here is that we are now in synchronicity or alignment with these higher forces, and these high forces are in alignment with ourselves. Go ahead,
Right. 71. These intelligent nine-ether soul forces, beings, Ethereans, exist on all nine abodes, and these bodies of the persons who function on any given abode are composed of atoms of the respective nutational rate.
Stop there. So now, as he says here, these intelligent nine-ether soul forces, beings, Ethereans. So let you know, they are, the corrector would be out-intelligent, higher beings. Okay, and these forces are intelligence that also connect to our body or intellect. Go ahead. And when you say who function on any given abode are composed of atoms of that respective nutational rate. So even beings, even there are states of, or those states of existences that are outside of the physical, they too have atoms, electrons or protons, etc., but on a faster rate. Go ahead, Samuel.
And this nutational rate is increased by chanting, prayer, devotion, and doing the right things, correct?
Correct, yeah. The reason why the nutational rate is increased, it wouldn't increase on the physical because the nutational rate on the physical plane is fixed. But when you start to vibrate or interact on higher abodes, the nutational rate of those abodes are different. Okay, go ahead.
All right, 72.
Go ahead.
So they can be saved, redeemed, claimed by one of these beings in the upper and lower worlds or abodes. This being is Pa Nasdir Amnub Reke Pta for you.
It's the master teacher. Go ahead.
Okay. 73. He Pa Nasdir Amnub Reke Pta is a Nasdir in person, an incarnation into flesh to save you. Your vibration rates higher.
Stop there, Samuel. What's he incarnated to do? An incarnation in flesh to do what? He just read it.
The flesh to save you.
What else?
To raise your vibration rates higher.
That's right, yeah. There's certain words, we got to stop and say, oh, okay, then rather than quickly skip it by. Go ahead, continue.
74. He can function on any abode. This is what these 6 etheric beings have been told by their lower forces of Wicca, and why they have imprisoned him in such a high level to keep him from touching you, and in so doing active your higher senses.
Okay. So don't think that we're the only ones here in Wu-Sabat who knows about the master teacher. They know of him as well. And this goes back, remember, like you said earlier on, they study the mystery systems, and they study ancient writings going back of those Sabians and those the Sufis, etc., who read those manuscripts. He's just using here those lower forces of Wicca. They know the master teacher. They knew that someone of his stature would come. They said, "This is him. This is the one that we want. Let's keep him away from touching these people and activate their higher senses." But here it is now. They plan a plan, and the Riskians plan a plan, and we all know who are the best of planners. No, what the master teacher said. You don't even realize that I am doing, I use this word like this, mental alchemy on you all. Without you, I use that word, for intents and purposes. I am transforming you all without you even realizing it by the mere words that are written. Let's use that word, mere words, but by the words pa madata, by the words written in these scrolls. Because in actuality, when people use the word medal netro, they use the word medal netro, we say pa madat empanadaru, pa madat empanadaru, the words of the overseers. People tend to only relate that to the hieroglyphs, past of fourth. This is what do you call what it is just now? The hieroglyphs, the sacred Medonetra. This is, I couldn't get the words out. What the scrolls that the master teacher's given us is alive. It's alive, and by us reading it, we are transforming ourselves. You know what I mean? Okay, we are beginning to activate our higher senses. Go ahead, Samuel. 75, please.
75. Nuapian or Nuabians, a being such as this one, a being living on all these abodes at once, enjoys the inherent mental ability to naturally discern all the abodes which are the lower nutational rate, then the abode on which he happens to incarnate in person in order to function.
So he can transcend all the boats, come down to this boat, do what he has to do, and at the same time go into the higher boats and do what he has to do. And the word here is all the abodes. Go ahead.
76. Every mortal alive today consists of many beings or forces of ether from this material abode. Is just one of the known 7 abodes. So you start, and then it comes a diagram on which also I would request your interpretation on two of these diagrams. If you
Right.
have the book there, you have the book there?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
so what Mark's saying is that we too have those abilities and abilities to function on these other abodes. Scientifically, they call it quantum entanglement. Okay, or quantum entanglement means where all is interconnected. Another term they use is superposition. Superposition is whereby you can function on all the bolts. That's the term they use. Both study quantum physics. These are the two terms they use. Quantum entanglement, where everything is entangled or connected, and superposition is where you are everywhere in multiple locations until it becomes observed. You become one in one position. So that's the term they use. So they know this information. Go ahead, Simone.
Okay. I guess I finished as you requested 76. I have
Turn over the other page and continue reading this last section here of 76 about the physical, etc.
Okay. Now jump. 1, abode of physical. 2, abode of life. 3, abode of spirit. 4, abode of mental. So in fact, you all consist in 4 bodies. In one, and each subdivides into lower states of existence. As your physical body consists in different kinds of matter, your water of liquids subdivide in many. Your flesh, tissue, teeth, your bones, each of our cells, yet each vibrates at different rates of material for hardness. So also it is with life, it subdivides by all that keeps you alive.
Well done. As it happens, I was about to read this particular excerpt, but you read it for me, so I don't need to read it anymore. Well done, somehow. Yeah, hope everybody got that.
God.
Do you know?
Just what, Zamal, before you take the book away, just one more question here. This being that is referred on the verse 84, Pa Tainiki or Pa Tamu.
Yeah.
Which being is this?
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
I can read. Oh, it's 84.
It's not from 84. Go ahead.
You must understand that Pa Tainiki, Pa Tama, who only hates you because he knows these facts. Which being is this?
Continue reading. It can tell you in a minute.
5. Translating full spectrum light into your being by nature, Nasdirt, and the Pa Tainikim, Tainimki, Coccozoids cannot.
So, do you know who they are now?
86.
No, do you know the part Tanim Hay? Do you know who they are?
They're the Caucasians.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just read down. You've got it. Okay.
Okay. So I guess it's clear. It's clear. If because they're famous on the scroll, so it's clear.
Fantastic. Now I just want to read 85 again, just so you get a better understanding of what's been read.
Okay, 85.
Yeah.
Translating full spectrum light into your being by nature, Nasdirt, and the Pa Tainim Ki, Coccozoids cannot. Yeah, it's clear.
Do you know what full spectrum light is?
No.
No, we said it earlier on today. Melanin.
Darkness.
Yeah. Full spectrum light is melanin, the physical manifestation. Melanin is the physical manifestation of full spectrum light. And full spectrum light is blackness or triple state blackness. Yeah. Okay. So we all learned something there just now. Is that Ismail?
Yes, man. There's diagram 4 and 5 on the book that I would love to have explanation on it. If you can, please explain what they mean, because the gateway on etheric in the brain and the
which,
mind.
What page is that on?
17.
Page 17. Hang on. Oh, okay. Let's have a look now.
I would love to understand or understand this these two diagrams,
Right.
4 and 5, which is
All right. Yeah. Diagram 4 or 5, those who haven't got the book, you've got two circles, left and right. The circle on the right is a circle, and you've got a smaller circle in the center. At the bottom, so you've got you've got a circle, a small circle in the center. In the center, it's got DMT, dimethyltryptophan. At the top, it's got serotonin. At the bottom, it's got melatonin, and the effect it has on the mind. What he's saying is melatonin. The reason why it's got the bottom half of the circle is in black, because melatonin is activated during the nighttime. The nighttime cycle, when you're sleeping, is when melatonin production occurs. In the daytime now is where serotonin production occurs. Okay. Then on the left hand side, this is the effect that melatonin and serotonin has on the mind or the mental. On the left hand, you have another circle. Then you have a smaller circle in the center, and in the center is written here pineal gland. At the top, serotonin. At the bottom, melatonin. And the effect that melatonin, which is night, serotonin, this is day, the effect that these have on the pineal gland in the brain. Then it's got the gateway. He's got hydrogen, H2. Then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's on the right. On the left, he's got the etheric E1, 7, 6, 5, 4, and the gateway. So where hydrogen, hydrogen, the etheric counterpart to hydrogen will be referred to as E1. So everything that is physical has an etheric counterpart. And what affects the mind also affects the brain. So he's got here DMT. Let's see if he's gave you a breakdown
what
on
DMT stands for again?
I think it's dimethyltryptophan, DMT. Dimethyltryptophan, yeah. This is I think it's some I can't exactly. I think it's produced by. I'm not too sure. I don't want to say I think, but you can. It could be from the pineal gland, but you need to do some investigation on that. That's what DMT stands for. And again, it's activated by the melatonin and the effect that it has on the mind, and in the brain, how melatonin and serotonin has an effect on the pineal gland. Okay. I don't think he's got any. Let me see if he's got a breakdown on that. I don't see it on this particular scroll here.
And what is mentioned as a gateway? It's a moment of transition from one consciousness level to another.
Yeah, in order for you to make that, in order for you to, I don't use the word, in order for you to enter the higher abode or the gateway or the portal, this needs to be activated.
Okay, practically speaking, that will be the transition from one chakra to another.
That's right. When they're on the full activation. That's right.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
If you go to the back of the book, it's got a diagram. The back of the book, page 20, he's written a diagram here.
Yes, the diagram 5. This is one of the things that I needed explanation as well.
This shows the distant audience. Can you see the picture? Can everybody see that? What I will try to describe. This is from the scroll, actual fact number 17, emotional energy. And if you go to the back of the book, see another diagram. Another diagram here that we must also written as well. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So if you read in the document, this is page 20. I've written it here. It's got a physical. You've got the plane of force, spiritual plane, and the mental plane. And it's showing you here. It's got ether. How they're all connected by way of ether. Okay.
I can see that.
You can see that how the connection between all of them, how the connection between the physical plane and the plane of force is ether, and the plane of force, the spiritual plane is ether, and the spiritual plane, the mental plane is ether. So ether, we know, is intelligent. Intelligence is an intelligent force that connects all these physical
boards.
Yeah, ether force. Yeah. Okay. And on the right hand side, where he's got that triangle there, he's got at the bottom gate, another triangle at the top, he's got gate, and he's got the same thing, physical, he's got plane of force, and the mental, and he's got the spiritual with the vital energy force, material which is solar, and he's got the mental, and two gateways to the physical and gateway to the mental, or gateway to the higher abodes and gateway to the lower physical abodes. Okay. I think one of the scrolls.
Okay. Have to going back to class now after this explanation on the diagrams, and I appreciate a lot of the explanation. So this diagrams, what according to what we were explaining about the key and the door represented as Jesus and Baba Yanun.
Yes.
Yeah. These diagrams represent what exactly? They represent the key lock, how the alchemy behind the key lock in order to unlock the door.
Yeah, the master. Yeah, the master. What the master has given us is the master keys to unlock these doors. First thing we need to do is come to that realization or consciousness or awareness of what he has written. Because we could read something and it's just words. But once we start to apply what we have learned, we start to open keys. We then have to use those keys. Remember, these are symbolic terminologies. We use those keys to unlock doors that's within our minds. As the door unlocks, we open the door and we walk through. And we said earlier on that when a door unlocks, it's what we refer to as a genetic explosion, a DNA explosion, and awakening to take us to the next level. We keep on moving. We have another key. We come to another portal or another door, figuratively speaking. We unlock the doors and we are now raised up to another higher level of consciousness. And we keep on till we reach, there's a point we reach whereby all we have to do is think it, and the higher forces will start to work with, through, and by us. And the doors will start to unlock, unlock. And as they unlock, we open the doors and we keep on walking through until, here it is. You don't even need to see the master in physical, because he would incarnate in etheric form and take us to the next level. However, we do need the master physically so that he can take us to the next level. It's kind of quiet now, isn't it? That was pretty, yeah. So, yeah, again, going back to the class title, the sun cycle, the death of belief and the birth of knowing. As you said earlier on, the forces of nature, the forces of natural nature are conspiring to our advancement in this sun cycle. That's why the master's predecessors, the master said it like this: they came to lay the seeds. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew, Pedro Campos, different leaders, masculine and feminine, within the diaspora, as they say, came to implant certain seeds in our minds. However, they weren't equipped with the necessary weapons or tools, we should say, to take us to the next level. That's the master's job, to take us to the next level. The reason I do this is that it's mental. The transition is mental first, then it's physical. Because wherever the mind goes, the body will follow. So what should the transition is like this, is that once we elevate mentally, we begin to elevate. That elevation, the mental elevation, is shown by way of our actions and what we construct as a collective. Meaning, we construct temples, we construct everything that pertains to our culture, and it is what we construct becomes a reflection of our mindset and advancement. Because, as we said earlier on in class, everything that we have been taught up to this point, 2025 HJ hereafter, what from 6,000 years up to this point is moon cycle information. I say it like that to keep us in formation, keep us in formation. Now we need out formation, right knowledge, the right wisdom, and the right understanding to take us to the next level. And this is what the master is here to do, take us to the next level. So, as you said earlier on, a person may have a university degree, have more letters than the alphabet after their name, but still be under the spell. Okay, the reason for that is because of what they've been taught. And if they do have their own secret societies, what they've been taught in their secret societies can only take them so far, unless they have a Munbab, master teacher, in their midst. Hear this now. We are fortunate because we got a Munbab, a master teacher in our midst, who's here to transform us, feminines and masculines, to be like him, become masters like him. Go back into the sun cycle thing. We talk about Jesus, what Jesus came to teach. He was born out of due time. What he came to teach, the people of his day and time weren't ready for that. Weren't ready for what he had to teach, because he was teaching out formation during the Piscean era, not during the moon cycle era, as opposed to during the sun cycle era. They weren't ready for that information or for that out formation. So now we're in a day and time whereby This is what the master teacher's given us for our liberation and salvation. Okay, to take us to the next level. Okay, so that's gonna. Any questions thus far in the house or on Clubhouse Zoom? You know how we don't like to. We're not preachers. We're not preachers. No questions thus far. Okay. You know, yeah. You know what I'm gonna read. I want to read something from
Okay.
Oh, someone else, Ramesses.
Yes, I've got a question.
Go ahead, Samal.
You know, if somebody wants to tie the knot in a Wu-Sabat way, how do they go about it?
Tie the knot.
Yeah, like want to get married in a Wu-Sabat way.
Oh, right, yeah.
Tradition. How do they go about it?
All right, yeah. As far as I know, we haven't got that. That hasn't been instituted at present. It's one of them, like a marriage ceremony you're talking about.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, yeah. We haven't got that. Hasn't really been reinstituted at present. What we used them. I don't know if we do have. I'm not aware of any marriage ceremony of what to say. We may have some, but I'm not aware of any at present. Not to say there isn't any, but I'm not aware of any at present. They may have some, may have a marriage ceremony. Because we used to have one called a marriage ceremony book, but this was going back a few years back, or a good few years back. We had like a marriage ceremony book of what to say. And if you was to get married or someone was to get married, say if it was, you would get somebody to lead the way, be like the priest or the priestess. It would be the priestess, the feminine would perform the ceremony, because that's how we did it. The feminine would perform the ceremony. And I would say if someone's got the marriage ceremony scroll, would be to read that and upgrade that as it pertains to this day and time as a musbat, as a Sabian, and it still can be performed in that way. So that's what I would do anyway. You know, but I'm not aware of any scroll or any writings or readings that the master has put out as it pertains to a marriage ceremony scroll, or tie the knot, as you say, you know. So that's as far as I could take it.
Okay then. So would you say there are good Sabian, female teachers?
Say that again, sorry, Zamal.
I've got a next question, yeah? Are
Go
they
ahead.
good? Are they good Sabian female teachers?
It's a good thing you said that, Samal, because the feminine teachers are more better in teaching the doctrine than masculines. The reason why we say that is because they were given the voice box first before males, before us. They were taught, the higher beings taught them how to speak first or articulate words, matatat, and the feminines are the one in turn who taught us how to speak. So feminines are, if you ever hear feminines teaching Wu-Sabat or reading the doctrine, it has a different resonance than us masculines. So they are very good in teaching Wu-Sabat.
Okay then. I got a next question. What did you think of Dr. Wellesley?
Dr.
Wellesley. Dr. Frances Cress Wellesley.
All right, yes, she's another one of our feminine scientists, and they're very, very good. Dr. Cress Wilson, you have another one called Dr. Jules Pookrum. There are two that comes to mind, and they're very, very good. Yeah, very, very good. We should give acknowledgement to all our past. I don't know if she's still she's still here, but we should give acknowledgement to all our scientists and teachers of time past, not to 1,000, even those thousands, but those who are, even if they crossed over 20, 30 years ago. Master teacher mentions Sheikh Anton Diop, and even Dr. Ben, and etc., etc., they played a part in the grand scheme of things. So when you talk about Dr. Cress Wilson, yes, we should acknowledge them for what they came to teach, specifically for the diaspora. Yes, we acknowledge them all somehow.
Okay, Ashok.
Sure. We have a brother in the listening audience. Go ahead, Samal. Hope it's nothing hard though.
No, it's okay.
That's it. Go ahead.
So my question is, if you go through the process of changing the mind, does that in turn have a physical effect on the body?
Exactly. Is that it?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Yes. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Want me to go a bit more?
You can. So, in regards to that, to go deeper than that, if we raise our frequency mentally, would our body, in turn, frequency be raised as well?
Yes, because all is mental and mental is all. We are mental first, physical second. Okay, so as your mental starts to increase, what you are doing is you're pulling from the mental reservoir more information. What you also happening is within your mind, you are pulling in from the mental reservoir by way of what we call Fatir Damak Ak, which is natural ether brain energy. That is how intelligence or our intelligence travels on the ether, but it's affecting your brain. So we call it brain ether energy. Brain ether energy. It comes into your brain, into your neurons by way of what's called synapses. Synapses, how into the neurons. How one brain neuron, how a neuron communicates to another neuron by way of what's called synapses. That's how one neuron connects to another, communicate to another by way of synapses. Now, the carrier is called brain ether energy. And that is what holds or carries our intelligence. The master's written a scroll called Natural Ether Energy. And because you asked the question, then I'll go read from the scroll. If you can get this scroll, based on the brother said, does mental have an effect on the body? This is the scroll that will answer all those questions that you have and unanswered questions that you may not even have. Okay. Let me read an excerpt from here. Right. I'll start from. So see the bookmark up already. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read from page 3. I'm starting from verse 9. Okay, it's got here. And page 3, verse 9, natural ether energy reads, and inactive brain natural ether energy is in a state of takshua condition between the science of something or somethingness, which is absolute matter, and the science of nothingness, which is absolute space. I'm trying to think of a way how to make this simple for you to understand. We have within our brain what we call natural ether energy. This natural ether energy is in an inactive state. It is It says it here, it is in a state, an inactive state, or in a condition of nothingness and somethingness. And in order to be activated, it needs breathing will help activate those forces as well as thinking. I'm trying to, I'll continue reading. I'll try and make it as simple as I can. Okay, so brother wants to put it.
Brain soup that increases the level of functionality in nutrients.
The brain soup.
Yeah, the brain soup.
Yeah.
Increase the functionality.
Yeah, the brain soup is natural ether energy. Okay,
So,
yeah.
So that increase that your soup, let's say, ether, you actually get from external forces. I'm saying like, in terms of the actual process of it.
Okay.
So therefore the process happens externally, which you call affirmation.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying like if the affirmation is coming in over on the biosphere, which is planet Earth,
Mm.
and water, and predominantly big in water.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
there's a brain soup made up of water and specific water in your brain.
Right, yeah.
So that kind of
Right.
nothing.
I was speaking loud, other people could hear.
I was going to say,
Respect people.
the question is to tie into the sun cycle.
Oh, okay, right.
So the understanding I have, if you're not prepared for that cycle, then you're basically going to be left behind. I think there was another class that actually explained the natural energies would if you're not in the right state physically and mentally, once the sun cycle fully kicks in, nature would identify you as a problem.
All right.
You understand? So that's where he explained, like, just like the body, if there's a substance that's not in tune with your body will have a natural reaction.
That's right.
Which is where your antibodies will come in to get rid of the foreign or the substance that's not in tune with the body.
That's right. Right.
If that makes sense.
That makes
He
sense.
explained that kind of natural reaction and occurrence happens in nature as well, like tsunamis and things like that.
Right. Oh, put another way, as above, so below, as above. The macro has an effect on the micro has an effect on the macro. 100% right. So now, how the master teacher puts it, if we are living in the image and after the likeness of other than self and kind, nature, as far as nature is concerned, regardless of the color of your skin as a melanite, you're just a caucasoid in the black skin, and you be taken out. Okay, so in order for you to make that, to survive, you need to have this right knowledge. Now, regardless whether you may see a person who's on do bad street, but they are the ones that need this right knowledge. Everybody needs this right knowledge, regardless of the color of their skin, because it is universal knowledge. Okay, more specifically for us as Nagara Nadu, as Negroids, is what we need to transform ourselves. Now, going back to the initial question, what the brother is talking about, the brain soup, is that the sun cycle that we're in has an effect on our minds and our thinking and our ability to receive and accept right knowledge. This is the day and time that we're in, and questioning what we have been taught, which is moon cycle information. Now, a person may not even be aware of the term right knowledge, may not even be aware of Dr. Malachi ZK or Wu-Sabat, but they are having experiences. brothers have talked about that, and then they heard on YouTube, and brothers can, and people have experiences of this, people having experiences of that. It's natural. It's natural. And what happens is the forces of nature or their ancestors, we say Muslafu or Munsabu relatives, are saying, will bring, say, you into the vicinity of another individual and talk to them about right knowledge, not knowing that they need to hear it. Because there's something inside of you. There is, your voice has something they need to hear. You have something that they need to hear to wake them up or take them to the next level. Bar no one. Everyone needs to hear this right knowledge because of the color of their skin. You see. So now, when we talk about the brain suit, and the master says it needs to be heated up to a certain temperature in order for the, what's it called it here, brain natural ether energy to be activated. Okay. So our brain rests in water, but that water that it rests in is called structured water. Now, when we are the water that we should be drinking to help nourish the brain and nourish the cells of the body is structured water, water such as you get in water-based fruits and vegetables. Because that structured water penetrates into the cells and activates the mitochondria within the cell, because the mitochondria is what gives the cell its vibrancy and energy. The water that we normally drink, even that one there, the water that we drink, don't bother touch tap water. The water that we drink is not structured. It doesn't go into the cell and hydrate the cells. However, drinking water is better than not drinking anything at all. So last class we said that what you should I was introduced to, I said it last class, I said that a brother out on the street introduced me to taking okra water, chop it up, put it in some water, and get some lime, squeeze some lime with it, because lime and okra gels really well together, and goes guzzle that down. And after going on YouTube and there's another guy called Bobby Price on YouTube, and listening to him, and he said that water you get from okra is structured water. The okra, because it's like a gel type of consistency, the okra in it. That gel type consistency reconfigures the water and make it structured. So when you're drinking it, it hydrates the cells. And you see that your skin will start to glow even more. You find that you go to the toilet a lot because it's recalibrating the kidneys. It's cleaning out the kidneys. That's why you tend to go to the toilet a lot. Afterwards, things will subside. So what that now has an effect on the brain, because the brain uses up a lot of water. And because you're now nourishing the brain and you're nourishing the cell of the mitochondria, because of that, your thinking becomes clearer, becomes sharper, becomes faster. And that is also in conformity to the sun cycle, the sun out there, the sun in here, and the sun on the planet Earth. So you see how everything is entangled of what the physicists call quantum entanglement. You see, just like the different scrolls, everything is linked together. Okay. Do you have something else you wanted to say?
Thank you. You've actually connected other classes, and I think you can see like there's an order to it. Once you get through one class, and it leads you on to the next one. I was here last week.
Oh, well, no. Yeah. I'm glad you spotted that. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Samal. Yeah, you're 100% right, because we're on a journey. We're on a journey, and each class you're getting more. You're getting more, and you're getting more. Again, what we say is this: I do recommend getting this scroll because it will answer your question about the brain etc., how the mind works and alignment. This is the scroll. And after you read that, you see, think mark up already, you know what I mean? Right. So once you read that, then go on to this scroll, which will tie in. Neuroscience of Wu-Sabat. It talks about neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means that we have the built-in capabilities to create new neurons. Okay. Before they said that once after a certain age, all your brain cells dies and that's it, amen. But now scientists now have a feeling no longer happens. We have the built-in capability to regrow new neurons. But in order for you to regrow new neurons, there's got to be a stimulation. And that stimulation is right knowledge. But here it is though. It's also the consciousness. That's also the consciousness. So now you realize that you become a co-creator of your own being. Or another word we use is the science is called mental alchemy. Remember you used that last week, didn't you? Use that terminology there. Oh. Okay, so but this is the scroll that you would read. This is the scroll that would really help you in having an understanding how thought forms work on a scientific level. But the master is not using the terminologies that they use in a scientific community. I do recommend listening. There's a YouTube channel that I listen to a lot, which is called The Library of Thoth. Thoth. That's got on YouTube. Type in the Library of Thoth, and you will actually listen to them. Got different classes on there, and as you listen to that and you read the scrolls, it's not 100%, but it's enough to stimulate your mind, to take you to the next level, You're reading the scrolls, you see more. Your vision will start to expand. And as your vision expand, also say vision, your perception begins to expand. As your perception expands, your consciousness expands. As your consciousness or awareness expands, it has a direct correlation to your mental or to your mind and to your transformation. Okay, follow. So anybody else? Clubhouse Zoom, any questions thus far? No questions. We go back to class again. Yeah. Oh, sorry, let's just
we're going to go back a little bit about me.
Oh, you missed.
You said, can you go back? You were reading something from the book, and why there was a reason why I missed that.
Oh, right. The prophet was reading from emotional energy. Is it emotional energy? Emotional energy. I think probably from emotional energy. Yeah. Okay. I think it was emotional energy. Right. Yeah. Good question. Good. Your antenna is on full tilt. Right. It's called emotional scrolls. Called emotional energy. I'm reading from page 10, verse 84, and it reads: "You must understand that Pa Kanim Chayu, Pa Tamahu is the Caucasoids, only hates you because he knows these facts." You think that you want to know this right knowledge? No, they know this right knowledge. Like I said before, what we've been, all the scrolls the master's given us is coming from the Egyptian mystery system. This is what they were taught. They weren't taught about Anunnaki. They weren't taught about Anunnaki, but they were taught really about our own sciences. They weren't taught about Jesus and whoever. If they did if Jesus what the master teacher says? Master teacher says about religion is a waste of time. Because it don't mean nothing to him. He goes, I just had to give you religion and make it believable to myself so that you would believe it, because that's what you wanted. So I can give you what you wanted to be spooked out, so that you will learn to want what I have to give. Just this right knowledge. See? But what the master does is, so in that case, why does the master always use biblical quotes within the scrolls? It's because a vast number of our people, a vast percentage of our people are in religion. So he has to integrate right knowledge with misinformation and draw them out, or pull them into right knowledge, and see that we do not need a belief system. That's why we say in the class, the sun cycle, the death of belief is the birth of knowing. Because, like I said, go back to the sister I saw today in Croydon today, I said to her, she kept using the word belief, and I said, you are alive, correct? I said to her that, I know you are alive because I could see, I could touch you, and I know that you have a mother, father, you have ancestors, etc., etc. Do you get me? And she goes, yeah. And I go, so, but we do not know for an actual fact that a guy called Jesus actually walked the planet Earth. And she said, but you've got to believe, right? And I went back to the game too. But why? I said to her, now that I know that you exist, I don't need to believe, do I? She goes, that's true, because I don't exist. But you've got no confirmation, no facts to prove that a guy by the name of Jesus actually walked the planet Earth. But she goes, yeah, but you got to believe. I said, so then I said, she goes, and I said to her, but how many gods though? Because yeah, we're little gods. Because well, I've got a blue letter Bible. Can you show me the blue letter Bible where it says that we are little gods? Because I got Exodus 7:1 says the Lord made Moses a god, and Jesus said, "Isn't written in your law to be a gods?" And so, but you cannot create yourself. But I couldn't really go into that. The thing is that two different women have stopped me today. The thing is that they that's it. One said deliverance, salvation, liberation, and transformation. That's the word she used, deliverance, salvation, liberation. But it's only said liberation because I used the word liberation. She said salvation. So I said, what about liberation? And she goes, yeah, well, liberation, salvation, deliverance, and transformation are all one and the same. Because explain to me liberation, but she couldn't do it. However, I said to her, did you know that you're on the right path, but the context in what you're saying needs to be shifted? That's all it takes is a 1 degree shift, and you find out that the words, the terminologies that she's using, liberation, salvation, deliverance, and transformation. That's right knowledge. But it's only that right knowledge is in the wrong context. But there comes a point. Do you know what something is that you have to, when you approach these people, you have to be comical about it in a sense that rather than, because if you're not right, I realize that if you're not comical, you talk to people on the street, they pull the shutters down and there's no entry. End off, they pull the closed sign and go about their business. Okay, so of course, so this is you made me deviate. I blame you for this. Okay, so come back to the question. I haven't forgotten it early. 84. So you must understand that Partanim or Partamahu, that word for the Caucasoids, only hates you because he knows these facts. They know right knowledge. They have right knowledge. 85. Translating full spectrum light, which says melanin, the physical manifestation of melanin, into our being by nature. Nadart and Nadart. Where it must be put Nadart, which is feminine. Said feminine forces. And Partanim, Caucasoids can't. They cannot translate full spectrum light because of the fact that they are melanin recessive. So full spectrum light. So there is intelligence in full spectrum light, or we say triple state blackness. There's our intelligence, we should say, within it. And we raise up, we clean ourselves up inside out, outside in, we perform what the master calls a self-exorcism. We're able to extract that out formation into information and relay to the general public. Okay, Brother, say something. Go ahead.
You said mentioned self-exorcism. How long would a self-exorcism look like? Does it differentiate between different people, and how long would one kind of exercise themselves, or say continual journey?
Yeah. Self-exorcism is a terminology the master teacher uses to let us know that we have to clean ourselves inside out, outside in. So it's called, another term for that is introspection, looking at ourselves, looking and be truthful with ourselves, looking at the good aspects of our being, or the agreeable aspects of our being, and the disagreeable aspects of our being. Introspection is something that we should be doing on a daily basis. You do not need to, unless you want to, have a candle, sit cross-legged. It's our interactions with other people. When we spoke the other day, and I said that self-realization comes about through relationships, not through isolation. So I don't need to go. I know I had one brother said, I'm going to Egypt to find myself. Well, you yourself is right here. Guess what? You went to Egypt, never came back to the doctrine after that. I think he must have got lost on the way. you know. So a self-exorcism is just that. It's introspection, cleaning up ourselves. Be really truthful with what we don't like, as opposed to what we do like, and how we interact with others, especially those, which button to press to make man vex and angry. You know what I mean? So, Martin said that is your loved ones, or those are your family. They know which buttons to press. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a continual journey. You know what I mean? Introspection, or a spiral in and a spiral out at the same time. Okay, so here it is now. I've still not finished your question. It's this last verse here. Damn, there's more to that. Go ahead. The Tamahu, so we read that earlier on, that the Tamahu, they cannot access full spectrum light like we can. 86, the Tamahu realizes that they must lie, cheat, steal, kill, and teach you to do these acts of isfat, which is chaos or disagreeableness, to lose your sahumat powers. What they do, we must do the same thing, so that we lose our connection to the divine, and we cannot elevate. They let you know what they're about when you watch the movies. Just watch the movies and let you know what they're about. You know what I mean? 87. To block your genetic powers, they teach theirs how to see our own powers against us. Could be how to use our own. I think it could be used. Let's see. I'll read that bit again. To block your genetic powers, that which is inherent within us. To block your genetic powers, they teach us how to use our own powers against us. Lie after lie, deception after deception, and false promise after false promise. Let's stop there. So, I'll go back to your question, Samantha. They know right knowledge. That's why they take the master away. And you know that information is a very valuable commodity. That's why there's certain places that they store data, and they've got heavy security that in data storage places. There's one in Croydon as well. Heavy security. You got press intercom system. Open one gate, you go through. Close that back gate. Open another gate. You have to wait for that back gate to close. To open that other back gate. You need to. What's your name? Who's the person you come to see? Da, 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 da. Data is a very valuable asset. You see, we take it for granted that it's not knowing that this is the. Do you know what the master teacher's given us? It's priceless. Can't put money on it. No amount of money can you put on what the master teacher's given us here. It is priceless. Because once you elevate your mind, anything and everything that you imagine to do, you'll be able to do. Okay? Hope that answers your questions, Amalta, about...
Yeah.
Okay, right. And Sister, you had a question? Oh, you had a question, bro? Okay. Any more questions? No more questions? Oh, okay then. Any questions on Clubhouse or Zoom? What the quality right sense on Clubhouse. He's right about being comical. In my experience, people seem to get caught up in my physicality. They look at you and think, because you look a certain way, you know, I don't know. People start maybe what's that word they use? Judgmental. All right. Yeah. Birth of the death of belief is the birth of knowing. And because of this sun cycle, because in what they call the age of Aquarius, religion is not going to last. The structures that we presently see, the world governments, etc., from on high, all the way from the top of the pyramid, all the way down, it's not going to last. Go ahead, Samantha.
How do we keep the children, or is there anything that we should do to keep our children as they grow to a certain level of understanding? So we were speaking just a minute ago about changing our mental, and that in turn changes our physical, and the doors have been locked over time. So as we've grown, more and more doors have been locked and we've been trapped mentally. So we are now going through a process where we are unlocking those doors and having those DNA explosions.
That's right.
How do we keep our children, or ensure that we are continuing to raise our children so that those doors do not get so locked for them as they grow in the world as it is today?
Yeah, it's the master said it like this: more people gravitate to your example than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, so that's what they're looking for. They're looking for to see how you behave. They look at your example more than what you say. It's unfortunate. I have to say like this first of all. It's unfortunate that we do not have our own educational construct to teach the Wu-Sabat. Like they have Muslim schools, and you have schools that predominantly for Hindus. They do have Hindu schools that they build as one in Croydon, big, massive flipping Hindu school. Damn, these schools about bricks that you use to build the building. You know, not too much inside. They're too big. I mean, there's no law written that you cannot have your own educational program.
Yeah.
You see, what we do, we teach our children right knowledge, and it starts from the home. Be the best example and best parent that you can be. Sometimes you have to hold the reins. The times you have to hold the reins tight, sometimes you have to let it loose, so they give them room to grow, because they have to have their own experiences in life. If we hold the reins too tight, we can be a hindrance to their growth. there's certain experiences that our children need to experience. So, which is natural. However, never give up on your children. Teach them right knowledge. There are times when you have to be stern and times when you have to be loving and caring. We use the word ashok, divine love. Divine love can also mean being stern because as a means of them not getting out of order. They need they need to experience certain things. It's like, there's a story, the master teacher called the caterpillar and the wapian, or the butterfly and the wapian. And in that story, the master relays how this wapian's walking down the road and he saw this caterpillar, or the caterpillar transforming into a butterfly coming out of the cocoon. And what he done is he saw the caterpillar or the butterfly struggling, and he cracked open the chrysalis, or what it is, and but in doing so, he made that butterfly cripple. It couldn't fly. Struggle or challenge is a necessary part of our growth and expansion, and also our experience. So, as a parent and your child, it is hard, and there are times where you have to be kind, caring, and loving, and at times you have to be stern as well. So that, but one thing they can never say is, I wish you told me. What they can say is, I wish I'd listened. That's all, because the master teacher, he's the master teacher, as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, he's got children that went astray, and he's the master teacher. So what makes us any different? You know what I mean? So remember, he's a human being as well. Feelings, emotions, etc., etc. So he had to go through trials and tribulations like we do, losses of children, just like we have to. We have to, you see. But what we would say is, be the best individual that you can be to your children. Teach them right knowledge. Teach them the ways. At the same time, they've got to experience for themselves. But show divine love. Again, love means knowing when and how to exercise discipline as and when necessary. Okay?
Yeah.
So, fam, the landlords has been giving me the time outside because they want to pull the shutters down. That was the last orders. Let me quickly read one thing here. Quality reads, HE is, I think that's the master teacher, saved my life. What do you think of the spouses who didn't stop their mate from teaching Baba's work to their children, but don't accept the teaching of our Melanites? What do you think about the spouses who didn't stop their mate from teaching Baba's work to their children, but don't accept the teachings of our Melanites, of black people? You know something? Let's say you got a partner and they don't really mind other partner teaching Wu-Sabat to their children. You know something? That can only be a good thing. That can only be a good thing. Even though the partner may not accept Wu-Sabat, but let's say you got a male and a female, the male doesn't accept Wu-Sabat, but doesn't mind the female teaching the kids Wu-Sabat. That can only be a good thing, because now the feminine parent is instilling right knowledge into the hearts and minds of the children. So they will come up, they'll be raised up with a certain mindset, a mind frame, and do certain things according to Wu-Sabat. So that can only be a good thing, There are many You had any questions? Oh, no, okay. There are many people who came into Wu-Sabat years ago, and they left, and the children are doing very well. But both parents are not in Wu-Sabat, and the children are not in Wu-Sabat, but they're doing very well outside. But is what it is, isn't it? With that, are we meant to break a general? One more last question from the quality. Are we meant to break a generational curse? 100%, because that is what curse. What we should do, we have to reverse the curse. Let's put it like that. Reverse the curse with right knowledge. That's it. So we do not perpetuate the same program. With that, fam, on Clubhouse, on Zoom, and those of us on those of us on YouTube Live. I say once again, Toa Kum. Thank you all for attending this class. Same time, same place next week.
Yes.
Until the next time, Muisa, Akros, give and take care. Wadu.
Proper black history. You won't get it nowhere else at all.
Islam is a beautiful religion for the Muslims. Christianity is a beautiful religion for the Christians. As Sabaeans, we have our own culture, our own scriptures, our own way of life, which is Wu-Sabat.
Wu-Sabat is not a religion, it predates religion. So we don't really subscribe to like the monotheistic religions. And even when you get to Africa, you know, people might talk about Egypt or Kemet or these various names, but our ancestors, they actually go back to the stars from the Orion and Sirius constellation.
In the Bible, Genesis, Adam and Eve,
Yeah.
what color were they?
He was a Hindu. Adam was from Atum and Lilith. Those were his parents. We've got their pictures in our scrolls as well. So how do we get pictures? As 9 ether beings, we can travel to different times. We can go backwards in time and forward in time. We can go into different dimensions. We can be channeled. I have watched many false teachers pass. I have watched churches who has come not to change the books, but to untangle and straighten and put them in an order that can be read and understood by any and all. No one in the heavens above or below the earth or under earth has the ability to make all of the true untampered scriptures, which are the words of the Most High, so clear. For I do not speak from myself, but the words flow through me from the very lips and hearts of those mentioned in the pamphlets I put forth. Read the scrolls. Don't reject me. Don't deny me. Don't slander me. I am your savior. Come and follow me. Brother at the back, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
You see how it says our savior is here?
Yeah.
Who's our? Is it just black people?
No, not at all. Our, because every race has been sent their own warner. For us, as black people, if you want to use that word, we're not even black, but we know what you mean but when we use that word. So yes, he sent to us, just like every other race was sent their warner, but these beings, they have a message for the entire world, because what they teach is for humanity.
That's what WAP was about. Sound, right, reason. Nothing else. All we wanted the facts. We've accepted the faith. We had faith in Allah. We had faith in Christ. We had all the faiths we get. We had bags of faith. We had our foot on the radio. We had our knees and forehead on the ground. I mean, we reached out for God, every which way. As a people of color, we've reached for God in everything from, I seen brothers as highly Christians with little ball and knots. We tried everything. Now we're saying we want to ask questions. We want nothing but facts.
In order for the information to turn into knowledge, what has to take place? We talked about reasonability. Without reasonability, you can't transfer or transform the information into knowledge. It is through sound right reasoning how you take information and turn it into knowledge.
And one of the famous things that people who are familiar with him will know, he always said, "Don't believe me, check it out."
Don't believe me. Check it out. Says stuff, he can't prove it. Everything I say, I prove. That's what makes me different. They talk about stuff they can't prove.
The man that has made it possible for the Nubian nation to be established throughout the world. He has touched many hearts and has opened many minds to the truth. So without further ado, here's Dr. Malachi Z. York.
They're going to know who I am. They're going to realize by this book who I really am.
What woke you up to the New World Order, these globalist elites and eugenicists?
The main thing that woke me up to it was a writer named Dr. York, a spiritual teacher from Brooklyn. He had a whole community over in Bushwick, on Bushwick Avenue, called the Answer Allah community. They like real heavy into like just studying the origins of religions, of cultures, politics, the origins of everything. And that's how you really get to the bottom of things, when you study the origins of it. So that's what I learned reading his books, and it all came from him, man.
A series of books he puts out are called Actual Facts, or The Master's Secrets. But we've also got our own way of life for the culture, which is known as Patarak.
Master Teacher's written various amount of books on extraterrestrials. He's got an extraterrestrial. So this would be crash retrieval. This is a crash retrieval in New Mexico. The different descriptions of the Greys, Draconians, Maccabeans, beings from Benetrak, Roswell incident, autopsy of the extraterrestrial, the Tyros, cone heads. So they come from the Gemini star constellation.
Now the Tyros, who people know as the cone-shaped heads, right? They have 48 chromosomes. And because the human being, or humans, have 46 chromosomes, that's 23 from your mother and 23 from your father, giving you 46. When they mixed with the humans, they produced a being with 47 chromosomes, which basically resulted in what people call Down syndrome. And that's why no matter what race you are, if you have those 47 chromosomes or Down syndrome, then you're going to have the same features regardless of whether you're black, white, Chinese, etc.
So you've got other descriptions here, the Duanes as well.
These are the short porcupine looking types of beings because their hair sticks out. They're this is what people get like the story of dwarfs and things like that from. They're very intelligent, and they study Shakespeare. And so when you start to look at the ailments that people have who have mixed with them, they suffer from something called hirsutism, which is when you have hair all over your body. And this is because of the mixture with these Duanis. And the same as what we call the Deros. The Deros are like very obese, fat looking with like an elephant trunk. And you get a lot of people on the planet who are obese in terms of they weigh so much, and it's because no matter how much diet they go on or how much exercise they do, they can't get rid of the weight. That's because, again, they've been mixed with these beings called the Deros. And most of these beings were residing, some have left, but a lot of them are and were residing in the caverns in the earth.
Also dealing with like the webs in the hands. It shows you like the 3 stages from the sperm, which would be similar to the tadpole. Then you have the second stage, which would be when you do the scan of the baby, which would be like 3 to 4 weeks, which would be like that of a Ramadian form of grey. And then the full stage would be where you would be Homo sapien, which would be mammal and reptilian. Most of these extraterrestrials also live in the center of the earth. You've got the knuckles here. These are skulls that they found. A lot of people think that we're making these up, but yeah, this is information that scientists are backing up, archaeologists are backing up. I was doing shopping in Peckham, so I had this inner thought that said to me, yeah, go into the indoor market. So I went in there and met 2 brothers, and they started talking about the Master Teacher's information. By the time I thought, black religion or black Christianity, kind of not interested in it. But I bought a video, Roswell video. So I went home, watched that, and then my oldest brother came about 3 days later with one of Malachi's videos called Elohim, and it's talking about us being God's ancient Egypt, how we'd be misinformed. So yeah, from then I got hooked up on it. Yeah, he was always saying that just use the information as like, you know, don't get hooked up on it. But yeah, got hooked up on it, man. Remember back in the days they used to have these Shambhala bracelets. They were called crystals or made out of crystals. So this will be tying into these. See Shambhala, Crystal City, another extraterrestrial. This person here. Visit the White House, so people can do some research on Valiant 4. We see the master teacher's already written about him.
My name's Basta Nafartat Ka'anku and I manage the Nashat store here in Croydon. I heard about Wu-Sabat or Nawapians about 30 plus years ago. I was visiting a friend, we were just laughing and joking, and then I could hear a voice in the background. He had a videotape of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Ziyad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Ashhadu anna kullu Rasulullah. I bear witness to Allah alone and He has no partners. And I bear witness to all the apostles that come from Allah.
Being a follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through his National Representative Louis Farrakhan, I would just like to know is the dress code of bow tie and suits, is that in any way an abomination of Allah's will compared to the Ansaru community with white garb?
The dress code of the Nation of Islam serves its purpose in that which Minister Louis Farrakhan is trying to get across to the people if you pay attention to him. He is talking about what the white man owes you. Right. And how you should go about trying to get it. He's talking about the possibility of a return to a place called Nubia. Listen close. I didn't say Africa. Africa is a curse word. Akubaland is a curse word. Break it down. All these are tricks by the devil. Don't fall into them tricks.
That's right.
The word Africa means to divide something, baraka, to break us up into pieces. And that's why when you get to Mother, the home of Nubia, you find Nigerians, Ghanaians, or Ghana, what do you call it, Sierra Leone, Morocco, Libya, Sudan, Ethiopia. And if you talk to an Ethiopian, he'll say he's not what a Sudanese is. You talk to the president of Nigeria, he'll say he's not what an Ethiopian is. But here in this country here, they're all Christians. And they break their Christianity down into denominations. Here are denominations. But they still say one nation under God. And they'll say it's not impossible to divide it, indivisible, they say. But when it comes to us, the Muslim family, we call ourselves Sunni, or Shia, or Bilalian, or the 5% nation, or the Israelite Hebrews, or the Nation of Islam. We all want to be divided. The Christians, as ignorant as we consider them in their teachings, are able to live in one nation and call themselves Baptists, Pentecostal, Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witness, Catholic, multiple denominations of Catholics exist. Romans, Greeks, the Coptics. But when it comes to Muslims, because of ego, we can't live as one nation under Allah. We can't get in a room together. The Sunnis don't even belong in this game.
That's right. That's right.
You don't belong in this game because you're not saying you're black.
Bring it out, brother.
And if you're not black, you don't belong in this room with us.
All right now.
It's a black thing.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And if you can't see who the devil is, in 1990,
Wake us up. Wake us up.
if you can't see what the devil is doing
going all over the world today to people, our people, people of color, then you're blind, brother.
That's right.
And the Quran says you're blind.
That's right.
It says someone deaf. How are they deaf? Because regardless of how many times Malcolm X jumps up and down, or Noble Drew Ali jumps up and down, or Clarence 13X jumps up and down, or Minister Louis Farrakhan jumps up and down, or Yahweh Ben Yahweh jumps up and down, because of how many times black people jump up and down to make you see the white man don't love you. The white man loves his dog more than he loves you. He feeds you. You don't see no welfare for dogs, do you? The white man ain't gonna give you nothing. And for you Sunnis, I'm saying, the people that you are worshiping,
Bring it out, bro.
are worshiping the white man.
Come on, right? Come on with it.
You flying over to Saudi Arabia to run around the Kaaba and kiss a black stone and worship it, and shake hands with a bunch of pale Arabs. Right. And they call Minister Louis Farrakhan over there. Go ahead, teacher. You beg to go. And they invite him over. That's right. They pay all the Sunni Muslims in America, smiling and shining. There's no racism in Islam.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the messenger of Allah for the Europeans, for the Americans.
Out of all the brothers in the United States, the Saudi Arabians invite Minister Louis Farrakhan, knowing he's teaching from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, knowing that he taught that the white man is the devil and Mr. Worthy Muhammad. You cannot reform the devil.
So I asked, who is he? I asked, where is he from? And he mentioned to me that they had classes in Brixton, and I asked him if he could give me more information. He said that he knows a brother that goes to the classes, so I invited them all down to my place to teach me some more about Wu-Sabat, and about the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York, and that was me hooked.
Why were I having those dreams before I got the understanding that I learned from reading the scrolls? Now, pay attention to this answer. Any man you meet that you walk up to and tells you why you're having dreams about what you're dreaming about, don't ever listen to them again. Because they're phony. The reason why you had dreams and what you felt was for you. If I would have walked in the dream with you, then you could have said, let's discuss why this is happening here. Why am I seeing experiments? But if I'm not there, that is your message from the Most High to you. And any man who comes along and tries to interpret stuff like why you saw this and why you saw that. And every time somebody asks me, I say the same thing. That was for you. If they wanted me in on it, they would have had me there with you. You know what I'm saying? And in time, because you're here now, you found your way here. Now let the rest of it happen naturally. Don't wrestle with it.
My name's Luke. I'm a personal trainer. I'm about to work with my client, do some boxing, some pad work. Okay, important to stay fit because your cardiovascular is working. Keeping fit is very important to the human health. It's a lifestyle changer.
We're here, Crystal Palace, doing the works, doing a sponsored walk for the master teachers, legal. As you can see, today's, there you go. Show them, free Dr. York.
We're just here today doing a sponsor walk in aid of raising money for Dr. Malachi New York's legal team. I'm just going to keep going until Babylon is free. And I have my t-shirt on today. I'll show you the t-shirt. Free Dr. York. He's innocent. We all know he's innocent, and we're going to bring our master teacher, our reformer, our avatar, we're bringing him home.
About Moisia, we're just here to do the walk today in order to raise funds for our master teacher, Dr. Malachi New York, partner Babiano.
Wu-Sabat, the master teacher, His Excellency Partner Babiano, affectionately known as Partner Babiano, Baba Yananan, His Excellency Dr. Malachi Z.K. York Okran, 33 degrees, over 720 degrees. We're doing this sponsor walk here today at Crystal Palace. with the funds going towards his legal
attorney fees.
My question is, if Inky was saying here to be ruler over the earth, and Anu saying and Lil ruler over the skies, correct everything. My question is, did Inky see you redeeming himself by sending his son Murdoch, showing that he can do things as said to be done, or did Anu send you, my master teacher?
Anu sends Inky, and Anu sends me. Inky couldn't send me anywhere. Because though I am spiritually related to Inky as his son, you know, I reject everything Inky stands for because he opposed Anu. And it was a strong decision because I was conceived through a reptilian wife of Inky as a disagreeable, a warrior, a defender. And I had to change, my whole genetic structure recalibrated so that I could work on behalf of Anu, but act as a defender of the innocent at the same time. So I had to be given the ability to kill when killing is not in the Anunnaki's nature. Thus it was necessary to be born to Eve, who was a reptilian, that I'd have a reptilian mentality as well as an Anunnaki's mentality as far as agreeable, Yah, and disagreeable, Way. I had to have both of those attributes because this is what you have. You have both an agreeable nature and a disagreeable nature sitting in this room. And I don't mean there are some agreeable people and some disagreeable people. Everybody sitting in this room has agreeable in them and disagreeable. Everybody in there has a little devil in them, and everybody in there has a little God in them. In order for the being to come to you, to raise you up, they've got to have the kind of nature you have so that you can't trick them, because you're very good at it.
Wu-Sabat is basically information on another level, where we actually teach on basically every topic. It's like a university.
And when, check this, and when the woman saw that the tree, so now eyes open, now she sees, that the tree was good for food, it was edible. Nowhere in here does it say apple. There's no apple in here. Somebody stuck apple in there. In Sunday school, apple got in here. Apples are not that old. There's over 1,000 species of apples. What kind of apple was it? Was it a Mac? Well, if you ask that question in church, the reverend will get mad at you. The Sunday school teacher will report it to your grandmother, because your grandmother's the one that whip your ass about church. Your mother just says, stop acting up. But grandma says, come here. Bring your little ass over here. Don't ever say that again in church. If you question, she'll tear you up with that switch. You know that switch I'm talking about, that singing switch. You hear me? Just because something inside of me, something says, Ma, you know, well, if Adam and Eve were the only people on the planet and they had 2 sons, Cain and Abel, where did they get their wives from? What? You little heathen! Go to your room. That's where it started. That's where the block got placed in. So when I start talking about you, you start going, ouch. Even you grown, you still get that sound. Your mind is conditioned not to question this book. So you start saying, that man crazy. No, this man got beat so many times that his grandmother's arm got tired. And then she said, what do you want to know, boy? And I said, I don't know. And I said, after 15,000 beatings and 250,000 whips, I said, that's all I want to know, Grandma, is that you don't know and Reverend Porkchop don't know either. That's all I want to know. All I want to know, does somebody know? I don't want to, you know, who are the people in the land of Nod? Where did they come from? The Bible says Cain left the garden and went to the land of Nod, and nobody was on the planet but Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. So if you go to the land of Nod and nobody was there, what's the point? Is it me? Is it only me? I mean, am I crazy because I see things like this? Well, if I see things like this, and God has provided me with an audience of millions of listeners, then God must want me to talk to you. He must want you to hear this now. It must be time to hear it. Right. Because people are coming to Nuwapo from all walks of life. We got people in Russia, all in Malaysia. Right. In Nigeria, there's a conflict going on because our people are spreading it over there and the Muslims are getting mad. All out in Ghana, South Africa, all the way over to Japan even. Right. They're asking, will you put the books in Japanese? I said, if I could, I would. But I can't, so I shan't. But in the event that someone does, or do, you got it. Why is it time to know the truth? Can I dwell on it a little more? Who was Cain afraid of killing him? When he told God, you know, the burden you put upon me for killing my brother is too great. Anyone who catches me is going to kill me. Anyone who, Cain, nobody is on the planet except you, your father, your brother. Well, you killed your brother. He wasn't there no more. So there's your mother and father and you. Who was he afraid was going to kill him? And this opens the can of beans to the reality that the planet had people on it before Adam and Eve. Now, archaeologists and paleontologists all recognize that. But Reverend can't teach you that. Because he'd have to give up that Cadillac. Because he cannot explain who these people are. But we talked about a part of the Bible here in Genesis where it says, and the gold of that land is good. And it takes thousands of years for gold to process it, not even more than thousands of years. For coal and earth to crush down and become diamonds. But the Bible talks about the diamonds of God. It talks about gold in Genesis. But the Christians will tell you that the Bible is not more than 6,000 years old. Stretching it in Islam to 10. But it takes millions of years for Mother Nature to make gold. So how is it in Genesis that the gold of the land of Ethiopia is good, and man wasn't even on a planet a hot week in Genesis? The planet must have existed millions of years before Adam and Eve in order for God to say the gold of that land is good. There must have been people on the planet Earth in order for Cain to find himself a wife. There must have been evil people before Adam and Eve and the serpent if Cain was afraid of somebody killing him who God didn't know. God's information was limited. God didn't even know those people. The Bible says there were giants in Genesis chapter 6. There were giants in the earth in those days. Who created the giants? Because if Adam and Eve were not the giants, and they were created in the image and after the likeness of God, then the giants were bigger than God. That means the giants was Allahu Akbar, not God.
It doesn't say that. Yeah. That's what I was trying to say, but I didn't have.
In the original translation.
In the original translation.
What does it translate as?
That's what I'm saying. Where it says, where people are saying it says you can eat meat. The word meat is not meat. As in,
it's translated as herbs or greens. And
exactly. I'm gonna let my sister introduce herself because she's a master chef.
Yes, I'm Chef Shalomaji. I'm a private chef. You can find me on Instagram or Google chefshalomaji.com. I do meal prep, I do 3-course meals, weddings, buffets, corporate catering, the lot. So if you're interested in any caterers, just holler at me.
Nuwapians are professionals, you know, we don't just read books and just talk about the doctrine. We live this in our everyday life, so the food we eat and how it's prepared, and you know, we're also gonna tell you more and show you more about our lifestyle. So yeah, let's get into it.
If you a European, then your ass is son of Canaan. You was cursed with leprosy, cave dwelling with the cave. Had the power for 6,000 years, time for the repayment. Neanderthal run up legal licking on the pavement.
2 medium onions.
What onions do you prefer? You see these red ones or those ones? Which ones do you normally use?
So that depends on the dish as well.
Oh, okay.
So red ones are better in salads where you just want it to look pretty and more colourful.
Yeah.
Or like skewers.
Okay.
And then white ones for everything else, curries, all that kind of stuff. So more time it will be the white one.
Okay.
But this is more specifically because you want colour.
Colour, okay, but they're literally no different really between them.
Not really, no. And you can sub it for that if that's not there. These are more for fancy dishes, shallots.
Yeah.
Because of the shape and stuff, and you can cut it thinner. If it says organically grown, that's when it's catching you out, because then the seed might not be organic. But that just says organic, period.
Then it's fine, All right.
Carefully grown, yeah, strict.